Welcome to Fred's 10-Minute Marketing Courses. Today we are discussing Marketing Sense, the protocol for your work and life, written by Fred James. So, picture a brilliant software engineer and a top-tier salesperson, right? And they are just absolutely screaming at each other in a corporate boardroom.
Oh, yeah. We have definitely all sat through that meeting. It is brutal.
It really is. And you have to wonder, why are two highly intelligent, really well-paid professionals failing so miserably to accomplish, a single shared goal?
Right. People usually write it off as a personality clash.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sales and engineering just naturally hate each other.
Exactly. But it is rarely a personality clash. It is, well, it's almost always a localized network outage.
A network outage. I like that.
Yeah, because if you ask the average person on the street to define marketing, they usually describe, like, the paint on a billboard, catchy slogans, flashy graphics.
Or those really aggressive sales tactics designed to make you buy things you do not actually need.
Right, exactly. But Fred James completely dismantles that misconception. I mean, he redefines marketing not as a department, but as a vital internal communication protocol. And ultimately, it's an operating system for human interaction.
Which, from a seasoned management perspective, is a framework we desperately need. I mean, the modern business environment is ruthlessly fast.
Oh, absolutely. Things change overnight.
Right. The specific tactical tools a frontline team uses today, like a newly updated social media algorithm or a trending advertising platform.
What's some novel piece of analytics software?
Exactly. Those tools become obsolete by next Tuesday. So if management is constantly chasing technical tools, we are playing a losing game.
Yeah, you just can't keep up.
But the core psychological framework of dealing with human beings, that has not changed in thousands of years.
Wow. Yeah, that is a really good point.
If you are interacting with people, whether that is a client, a colleague, or a vendor, the underlying logic remains constant.
And I think that is exactly why the phrase communication protocol is so striking. Fred James moves us away from this abstract, artsy definition of marketing.
He really grounds it.
Yeah, he grounds it in a very concrete technological reality. He breaks down this marketing sense into three fundamental pillars: positioning, communication, and convincing.
And we should probably clarify that convincing in this context is not about coercion.
Right. No arm twisting here.
Exactly. It is about reaching mutual agreement and true collaboration.
So to understand why he explicitly uses the term protocol, you just have to look at the hardware sitting around any standard office space.
Yeah, think about your own office. You have laptops, tablets, smartphones, and a wireless router sitting in the corner.
Right. And if you open them up, their hardware architecture is completely different.
Completely. They run on entirely different operating systems, manufactured by totally competing brands, yet they pass complex data back and forth flawlessly.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it.
It is. And they do this because they all operate on the exact same wireless protocol, like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth.
So there is a universal, agreed-upon standard for how information is encoded, transmitted, and decoded.
Precisely. They are essentially speaking the same invisible language, even though their internal wiring is vastly different.
I love that. So imagine if someone brought a brand new, incredibly expensive smartphone into that office.
Okay.
But it was hardwired to use a totally incompatible radio frequency.
Oh, right. It would not matter if it had the fastest processor on Earth.
Or a revolutionary screen. It would never connect to the network. It would be functionally useless for collaboration.
That is a perfect analogy. In a corporate boardroom, your different departments are those devices.
Yeah.
If they do not share a baseline communication protocol, they cannot connect.
Regardless of how talented the individual employees are.
Exactly.
That structural disconnect makes so much sense, especially if you think about it through the lens of a multiplayer online game.
Oh, like an MMO.
Yeah, exactly. If you have ever played a massive MMO, you know what happens before a major boss fight. You have a player who chooses the tank class.
Right, the big armor guy.
Yeah, their entire job is to stand in the front line, absorb heavy damage, and protect the group.
Okay, I'm with you.
Then you have another player who is the mage, standing all the way in the back, casting delicate healing spells and carefully managing their energy resources.
Very different jobs.
Completely different. Now, if those two players do not have a built-in party chat to synchronize their actions, they're going to fail the mission.
Because they can't communicate.
Right. If the tank has no way of knowing the mage is out of healing energy, the tank will just keep charging forward into the damage, and boom, the entire team gets wiped out.
That is actually a highly accurate way to visualize daily corporate operations. The boss fight is, your quarterly revenue target, or a big product launch.
Right, and the departments are the different classes.
Exactly. The engineers are speaking the highly specialized language of technical difficulty, code debt, and system architecture.
The mages, basically.
Yeah. And the sales team is speaking the frantic language of client pressure, immediate revenue, and competitor threats.
And meanwhile, finance is sitting in the back speaking the language of cost control and margin optimization.
Which means they are all players in the same room fighting the identical boss.
Yeah.
But they are just mashing their controller buttons in total isolation.
They completely lack that party chat.
And that isolation inevitably leads to a spectacular wipeout. This is exactly where Fred James' concept of marketing sense steps in.
To provide that shared frequency.
Yes. It forces everyone in that boardroom to temporarily stop talking about their specific department's mechanics.
To get off their own radio frequency.
Exactly. And instead, they align on two objective universal realities. Who is this product actually for, and what specific problem does it solve for them?
So let's trace how this network outage actually plays out in the real world. Because, I mean, we have all sat through meetings that just spontaneously combust.
Too many to count.
Let's look at a classic tech sector disaster.
Oh, this happens routinely in consumer electronics and tech companies. Management calls a critical evaluation meeting to push a major software update.
Okay, the stakes are high.
Very high. The lead engineer crosses their arms, looks at the spec sheet, and declares that the underlying architecture is far too complex.
Classic engineering response.
Right. They state definitively that they require a minimum of 6 months to build the update safely without breaking the existing system.
And the lead salesperson is sitting right across the table. They probably just slam their notebook down.
Oh, absolutely.
And they say the client is demanding this update by next month. And if they do not get it, they are taking their massive, multi-million-dollar contract straight to a competitor.
And without a shared protocol, this instantly devolves into a toxic discussion of blame.
Yeah, sales accuses engineering of being sluggish, overly academic, and totally disconnected from market realities.
And engineering accuses sales of being reckless, making impossible promises to clients, and sacrificing product stability for a quick commission.
It becomes a purely emotional turf war.
Nothing is solved. And resentment just hardens into corporate concrete.
But if that organization has installed Fred James' marketing protocol as their default setting, the dynamic changes entirely.
It does, because the engineer does not simply dig their heels in and defend their ego.
Right. Instead, they utilize the positioning pillar.
Yes. They analyze the target audience's needs to pivot the conversation. The engineer looks past the salesperson's panic.
They look for the real problem.
Exactly. And they identify that the client's core need is not actually a piece of perfect, deeply integrated software.
What is it then?
The client's core need is rapid deployment. The client just needs a tangible update to show their own stakeholders immediately to prove progress.
Oh, I see. So operating on that shared frequency, the engineer can propose a solution that satisfies both realities.
Precisely. They might suggest a phased rollout.
Like saying, we cannot safely rewrite the entire architecture in 30 days.
But if the client's core need is immediate visible progress,
we can deliver a core, stripped-down dashboard update in month 1 to satisfy their urgency.
And then we deploy the complex backend features over the following 5 months.
That is brilliant. And the salesperson, who is now also operating on that same frequency of solving the user's problem, takes this phased rollout strategy back to the client.
Exactly. The focus of the entire company has successfully shifted away from internal finger-pointing.
And aligned entirely onto the objective reality of the market.
Right.
But, if I am looking at this structurally, I do have to push back a little on the limits of this framework.
Okay, let's hear it.
What if the client is simply stubborn? What if they refuse the phased rollout, demand the 100% feature set in 1 month, and threaten to cancel anyway?
That is a very real possibility.
Because we cannot pretend that implementing a communication protocol magically teaches developers how to write code 6 times faster. It does not alter the laws of physics or time.
You are absolutely correct to highlight that. And Fred James offers a very pragmatic reality check for this exact scenario.
Okay, good.
Marketing sense is not a magic wand that bends physical reality. If 6 months is the absolute unavoidable technical limit for the code, then doing it in 1 month remains impossible.
Right, you can't just talk your way out of a hard deadline.
No. However, what the protocol does is ensure that the internal team does not tear each other apart over that impossibility.
Ah, I get it. It clarifies the boundaries of the objective reality.
Yes. which means the problem is clearly defined for management. It is no longer an emotional battle between the sales director and the lead engineer.
It isolates the problem.
Exactly. Management can look at the stark facts and make an informed strategic decision.
They can say, the client's demands are physically impossible for our current bandwidth.
So we either respectfully decline the contract or we immediately authorize a massive budget to hire an outsourced development firm.
And the decision is made based on factual constraints, without generating lasting internal resentment.
Exactly.
Okay, so if this framework is so logical and so remarkably effective at preventing toxic team dynamics, why is it so incredibly rare?
That is the million-dollar question.
I mean, why isn't every frontline marketer simply implementing this across their organization today?
Because of how marketing departments are structurally handicapped in a vast majority of organizations.
Handicapped how?
Fred James makes a rather painful but highly accurate observation here. He notes that marketing departments are frequently treated like the little daughter-in-law of the corporate family.
Oh, wow. The little daughter-in-law, that stings.
It does. They are expected to serve everyone else, bear the brunt of the criticism, and possess almost no formal authority.
That is undeniably true for anyone who has worked in the trenches.
It's particularly rampant in pure sales-driven B2B or B2C companies.
Absolutely.
Think of those massive distribution businesses, the box movers.
Right, they do not invent or engineer the product.
No, they simply move boxes from a wholesale warehouse to a retail shelf. In those environments, marketing is viewed as little more than an event planning committee.
It's so frustrating. Management expects you to magically conjure massive market demand with a beautifully designed brochure and a $50 social media ad budget.
And then they act shocked when a product that nobody asked for fails to sell.
And the worst part of being the little daughter-in-law is that you become the universal scapegoat.
Oh, always.
If research and development botches the product specifications, or if the sales team fumbles the pricing strategy, it does not matter.
No.
When the product inevitably fails in the market, the blame lands squarely on the marketing department for failing to generate enough hype.
It is a profound structural failure. And it creates what Fred James brilliantly terms the power black hole.
The power black hole.
Yeah. This is a rampant leadership illusion in modern corporate culture. Executives sit in their corner offices and genuinely believe they have created a modern, decentralized power structure.
Oh boy, here it comes.
They tell their teams, we run a flat organization here. I empower you to manage yourselves. Go figure it out.
Oh, the dreaded "you are empowered" speech. Frontline workers know immediately that empowerment is usually just a corporate buzzword for "you will take the fall when this project inevitably stalls."
Precisely. The executives do not realize that the frontline staff are terrified of taking the blame for arbitrary failures.
Right, because why would you stick your neck out?
Exactly. So no one actually steps forward to catch that decentralized power. You
Yeah.
constantly hear people say, well, R&D has not given me a concrete timeline for the prototype, so I cannot set my marketing budget yet.
Everyone just sits in a circle, pointing at the next person, waiting for someone else to move first.
And the power to make a decision simply vanishes into this black hole of deferred responsibility.
So if an organization has essentially trapped the marketer in this black hole, where they bear all the responsibility for market failure but possess absolutely zero formal authority to force R&D to work faster,
Or force sales to change their timeline.
right, then a frontal assault is just corporate suicide. If a junior marketer stands up in a meeting of 30 people and tells the VP of engineering that their timeline is wrong, they will just be labeled as difficult or insubordinate.
They will be shut down instantly.
So the only option left is a covert operation.
Exactly. You cannot demand authority you do not possess. So Fred James advises a highly practical survival guide, fighting an elegant guerrilla war within your own company.
A guerrilla war. I like the sound of that.
You do not challenge the power structure directly. You influence the company informally from the ground up using two highly specific weapons.
Well, if I cannot challenge my manager's ego with my own opinions, my only defense is objective reality. I would have to use data.
Yes.
I need the market to do the arguing for me.
That is weapon number one. You must ruthlessly replace subjective opinions with hard data.
Give me an example.
If you are reviewing a product launch, you never say, I think the interface is confusing, or I feel like the red packaging is ugly.
Because the moment you use the words, I think, a senior executive with a higher pay grade will simply reply, well, I think it looks great, and the conversation is over.
You lose instantly.
Right.
Instead, you say, Our recent A/B testing over the last 2 weeks shows that the blue packaging generated a 30% higher click-through rate than the red packaging.
Because data strips the personal ego entirely out of the room.
It does.
You are not challenging their authority. You are simply acting as the neutral messenger of market reality. It is a brilliant shield.
It is very effective.
But data alone, sitting in a spreadsheet, does not change corporate culture. How does a marketer actually deploy this data effectively without calling a formal, rigid meeting?
That requires weapon number 2. Unofficial alignment.
Unofficial alignment. Okay.
You build cross-department consensus completely off the books.
Walk me through the anatomy of what that actually looks like in practice. How do you execute this without triggering a manager's defensive instincts?
You look like a casual coffee chat.
Just a coffee chat.
Yes. You walk over to a lead developer's desk when things are quiet. You do not mention the VP, you do not mention budgets, and you do not frame it as a marketing directive.
Keep it super low pressure?
Exactly. You bring them a coffee, and you casually slide a printed heat map or a user testing report onto their desk.
Oh, that's sneaky.
You say, hey, I was reviewing some user sessions this morning, and it looks like a huge percentage of people are getting stuck on the setup screen and abandoning the process.
So you are presenting them with a puzzle, not an order.
Exactly. Engineers are natural problem solvers. By framing it around the user's struggle, you invite them to solve the problem.
You don't tell them what to do.
Never. You are slowly, deliberately teaching them to use the marketing framework without them ever realizing they're being trained.
Positioning.
Yeah.
Identifying the user's core need.
Yes. You bypass the territorial defenses of formal meetings entirely.
I see the psychological brilliance in that approach. I really do. But I have to raise a red flag here. As a junior or mid-level marketer, going behind my manager's back to privately influence the engineering team sounds incredibly risky.
It can be.
In a highly political office, that is a fast track to being accused of forming cliques or going rogue.
That is a very astute warning. Corporate politics can be deeply treacherous, and the risk of being labeled a rogue operator is real.
So how do you protect yourself?
This is exactly why your guerrilla warfare must always be anchored entirely in weapon number 1, objective data.
Ah, right.
If you are just complaining about management over coffee, you're forming a toxic clique.
And you will get fired.
Eventually, yes. But if you are sharing verifiable A/B test results and user analytics, you are not plotting a coup.
You are simply fostering a data-driven environment.
Exactly. You are building a coalition based entirely on facts, not gossip.
Okay, so if we successfully navigate this guerrilla war, what does ultimate victory actually look like? Because the goal cannot just be winning arguments in the break room.
No, the goal is far bigger than personal validation. True victory is when this marketing communication protocol silently becomes the organization's default setting.
The default setting.
Yes. You walk into a strategy meeting, and without you having to prompt anyone, the lead developer and the sales director start their discussion by asking, what does the end user actually need from this feature?
Oh, wow. That would be a dream.
It is. The dialogue naturally shifts away from internal turf wars and moves entirely toward creating mutual value.
And that is Fred James' vision of a truly hardcore organization.
A place where every department's expertise is respected because everyone is finally speaking a language that bridges the gaps between them.
But you know, Fred James' subtitle explicitly calls this a protocol for work and life.
It does.
We have covered the boardroom extensively, but how does this framework operate outside the office?
Well, the underlying logic of human interaction does not vanish when you clock out at 5 p.m.
Right.
Think about how often we bring rigid, unyielding logic into our personal relationships and how spectacularly it fails.
Oh, if we look at a classic household conflict, this happens all the time.
Give me an example.
Let's say a couple is trying to plan a major family vacation. Or maybe they are renovating a house. Partner A is highly analytical.
Okay.
They are stressed about the budget and the timeline, so they approach the situation like the engineer in our earlier example.
I can see where this is going.
They create a massive, grueling spreadsheet detailing every single hour of the itinerary, optimizing for maximum efficiency and minimum cost.
Which is pure, rigid logic. It is basically a 6-month software build applied to a family holiday.
Exactly. And partner B is looking at the spreadsheet feeling completely alienated.
Because That is not what they want.
Right, because partner B's core underlying need for this vacation is not logistical efficiency. Their core need is rest, emotional connection, and a break from the daily grind.
So they're on completely different frequencies.
Completely. Partner A brings their spreadsheet to the kitchen table, demanding agreement on the schedule, and partner B pushes back.
And suddenly they are having a toxic discussion of blame.
Yes. Partner A says, "You are being ungrateful. I spent hours planning this to save us money."
And partner B says, you are turning our vacation into a military operation.
That is a perfect example of a localized network outage in a personal relationship.
It really is. Partner A is trying to win the argument by proving their spreadsheet is factually, mathematically correct.
And they might be right about the math.
There's probably are.
Yeah.
But they are completely ignoring the positioning pillar. They have failed to identify the actual emotional need of the person sitting across from them.
They might win the factual argument about the itinerary, but they severely damage the relationship in the process.
Exactly.
If they applied marketing sense instead, partner A would stop pushing the spreadsheet. They would use positioning to understand that partner B needs relaxation.
And then they would use communication to speak to that need.
Right, and convincing to reach mutual agreement. Perhaps deciding that one activity per day is scheduled and the rest of the day is protected free time.
It shifts the entire dynamic from me versus you to us versus the problem.
It forces you to ask yourself, are you using cold, rigid engineer logic to deal with a human relationship problem that actually requires empathetic marketing sense?
That is the core question. Understanding their point of view, communicating clearly, and prioritizing mutual alignment over simply being right is the definition of a successful life operating system.
You know, it makes you consider this. As artificial intelligence continues to advance, it is going to take over the technical execution of our jobs.
Oh, without a doubt.
AI will write the code, it will design the graphics, and it will sort the data infinitely faster than we ever could.
It is already happening.
When the technical execution is fully automated, the only truly irreplaceable human skill left will be this exact marketing sense.
That empathetic connection.
Exactly. The ability to act as the empathetic communication protocol between complex systems and actual human needs will be the most valuable asset in the world.
I couldn't agree more.
So, are you spending your time just upgrading your technical hardware, or are you upgrading your communication protocol? It is definitely something to evaluate. Thank you for listening. If you have any thoughts on today's episode or marketing topics, feel free to leave a comment below the video. This is Fred's 10-Minute Marketing Courses. See you next time.